Hi ladies and gentlemen, Murugan Ravenberg here again. This video is going to be a general video in the sense that it's not really occult based or occult related or on any occult subject or matter. In this video, I'll simply give people advice and I'll discuss the matter of solving your problems. As most of us already know, people that generally speaking have an interest in the occult, they either seek out the occult in their through sheer desperation, because of sheer desperation, because they're so desperate to find a solution to their problems or something similar. And like the title or the header of this video suggests, okay, you just need to sort your, bluntly put, shit out. Sort your shit out. Okay, I personally don't have a problem with people that have problems in their lives. They find themselves dealing with a tremendous level of adversity. They're either doing so or have done so. But that in itself is not the issue. The issue is your attitude of how to go about all of these problems, how to solve all of these problems, okay? Or better said, in most cases, their unwillingness to solve their problems. Regardless of what issues you may have, whether you're indebted to someone, whether you owe someone money, whether you find yourself in financial ruin, whether you name it, whether you're about to be evicted from your property, your living property, it doesn't matter what problems you might have, whether you're dealing with family related issues or judicial issues. The most important thing that you need to remember, aside from everything else, aside from calling in help from occult influences or from an occult influence or source, is your attitude in dealing with the situation. You need to be active, proactive, okay? And thereby I simply mean that your attitude and your consistent attitude until the problem is permanently solved plays a vital role. Okay, I'm going to list my own life as an example. I'm just going to give myself up as an example for the sake of this video. Okay, because I, like many others out there, like many of you out there, have also been there. I mean, I had problems of the wazoo, problems up to my neck, okay? But again, what is the most important factor that I changed is my attitude. Even when it comes to the occult, what did I do relating to the occult? I switched up my attitude. I said to myself, no, this isn't working. I'm a worthless loser just like the rest. And I switched things up. I developed my own system. I really just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it. And I sacrificed so much time, energy, and not to mention money. We're talking about shitloads of all of it, okay? And it paid off, obviously. But again, your attitude is the most important. Thing. Small example. I think 3 or 4 years ago, or even longer, a good while ago. In any case, I was indebted to someone. I owed that person a couple of $1,000s of money, and the only amount of money that I was able to set aside was a couple of $100, I think, no more than $100 a month. And how did I manage to pay off that debt? I managed to pay off that debt by simply being proactive, by making a rational agreement or coming to a rational agreement with that person, and simply keeping an eye on my finances to see where I can or what I can do to boost my finances as much as possible, or how to accumulate as much money as possible in order to pay off said debt as quickly as possible. My vice lord and vice patron Sandrocon, he simply came through for me, and I paid that debt off in literally just a couple of months. I literally just kept paying it off and off and off and off and off multiple times a month until it was paid off. And after that, I was done definitively. I have never taken out a loan at someone since then. Okay, so that's just an example, a small minor example, but still one nevertheless. But my point is that you need to be consistent in how you go about your life. Don't just complain that you've got these problems and that this is wrong with you, that you're suffering from this illness or anything like that. Okay, find a permanent solution to it. Your attitude is the most important thing. But the biggest issue is that most people, they just sit around and they just wallow in their own misery and drown in it, some of them, simply due to the fact that they lack the willpower and the means to actually make things happen. If it's something that's not really a problem, okay, something minor, then I can understand that attitude, the unwillingness to change. But you can't expect to have your problem solved. We're talking about things that can really count, or things that really count as problems, and then just expect your entire living standard to go upwards. To what you can expect your entire living standard to improve or to become better. You can expect to advance when your attitude doesn't advance, okay, or your attitude doesn't change. It simply reminds me of a cartoon, okay, a cartoon that will serve as thumbnail for this video, where there are a group of people and there's a spokesman, and he says, "Who wants change?" And everybody eagerly just sticks up their hands in the air. Yeah, I do. And then he asks the question, "Who wants to change?" And all of them just bow their heads in shame. Well, bowing your head in shame will not help you in this situation, and that's also for whom this video is aimed at. Okay, that's whom I'm making this video for. I am making this video simply for the people that are actually willing to consistently get it together, to put it that way, and to consistently scrape together the willpower to actually make permanent changes in my life, in their lives. Another example too is that when I came into my own as an occultist, okay, before that I was literally just a worthless loser, to be honest. I'm dead honest with myself, okay? See, that's another thing. You need to be brutally honest with yourself. I said to myself, no, I'm no different than the rest, okay? I'm working a dead-end job. I live in a shithole. I make minimum wage. I have no future, okay, as things stand. And most importantly, my occult practices are not getting anywhere. I'm just practicing with little to no practical results, nothing noteworthy. And I really started cutting up. I started cutting up loose strings. My occult friends that I had, I either blocked them or I straight out told them, "Listen, I want nothing to do with you anymore, and this is the reason. Okay, you're a worthless loser, and I am cutting people out of my life right now as a means of cleansing myself. Okay, this is like a culling almost. I'm cleaning house, to put it that way. I'm not kidding. I literally did that. Okay, and I let go of a good deal of friends that I had that were into the occult, that were also into the occult like me. Okay, but these friends were just like me, worthless losers. They had nothing to show for. Okay, some of them got upset, some of them really felt offended, obviously, because it's the cold hard truth. One of them told me that I think too highly of myself. I could care less. I literally could not care less. I literally broke bonds, or I cut off bonds and broke ties with all of these people. What is supposed to pass with people, but you know what I mean. In any case, that is an example. I literally just got my act together, okay? I made up a list of what my expenses were on a monthly basis, what I spend money on, how far I can go regarding expenses, and all of that, okay? And I took a look at how much money I made, how can I make more money, and what are my options, resources, everything, okay? I took a look and evaluated my entire living situation and or financial situation, and so that I could have an idea on how much leeway I have in order to advance in my life, or in order to make things happen, in order to profit as much as possible, and to keep as much money left, have as much money left as possible at the end of the month. And it just goes on like that, okay? It just kept going on and on and on. My point is, get organized and stay organized, okay? Don't allow anything to hold you back or down, okay? And actually make the necessary changes in your life. If something or someone is baggage, then just let go of that baggage, okay? But you have two choices. You either let go, you either muster up the courage and the willpower to make things happen and to actually let go of said baggage, or to rid yourself of said baggage, or you either just stay like that I'm not gonna lie, okay, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's ridiculously hard, indescribably hard to make these changes, or it can be to make these changes. It can be so, like no other. But I still did it, and if I can do it, then so can you. I mean, even my family, I cut out my family. As far as I'm concerned, no one has to feel uneasy here, okay? This has nothing to do with dirty laundry. But my family, generally speaking, my biological family, as well as from both sides of my parental spectrum, we're talking about my father's as well as mother's family, I cut all of them out of my life because they were nothing but baggage. Not only did they not contribute anything to my life, but they only made things worse. They were literally as a ball and chain strapped to my leg. And I said to myself, no, screw this. So I openly told them, listen, you guys, we're done. I want nothing to do with you anymore. These are the reasons. So bluntly put, fuck off and get lost and stay lost. And simply put, I don't want you in my life anymore. So I'm cutting you off hereby permanently. I don't care. As far as you know, you don't. As far as I am concerned, you don't exist to me. It might sound harsh, but that's just the way I am. That's how cold I am. That's just one of my character traits, one of my strongest ones, and one of the ones that I am the most proud of, okay? This isn't something that I accumulated or something that I taught myself. This is something that was already in me as a character trait. But even then, it doesn't matter whether it's already in you, if you're cold like that by nature like me, or whether you need to become cold, whether you need to teach yourself to become cold like that. But my point is, don't leave any loose ends behind. Just get rid of anything that holds you back, anything that might hold you back or that is baggage to you. I'm talking about if you have children that, to be honest, you don't want. This might sound like a brutal and extreme example to people, but I'm not gonna lie. If I, for example, had a wife and children, and I was miserable and I was struggling, I would let go of my wife and children. I'm not kidding. I would openly tell my wife, listen, I am going to, if we were legally married, I'd tell her, listen, I'm going to file for divorce. I don't want to be married to you anymore. These are the reasons. Okay, you have nothing to do with it in the sense that you didn't do anything wrong really, but you guys are just holding me back. The same goes for my children. And you can already imagine what kind of dramatic situation it's going to turn into, okay? It's going to be one hell of a domestic disturbance. My wife would be finding me anything from an asshole to a selfish jerk. And the same goes for my children. You even have people that would pick sides, you know, people that would completely agree with my wife and children, but hey, I don't care. Bottom line is you need to do what's best for you regardless of the cost, okay? Because you are the only one that will stand to benefit from it in the long term. I'm not kidding. If I had a wife and children, I would openly tell my wife and children, listen, I'd file for divorce. My point would be, okay, my aim would be to get rid of them as quickly and as efficiently as possible. That's what I'm getting at. Get rid of anything and or anyone that is baggage to you and that you can't contribute, that doesn't contribute to your life, or someone that you can't benefit from. Obviously, it's give and take. I'm not saying that you have to exclude everyone and live like a hermit, but my point is get rid of anyone, do away with anyone or anything that is detrimental to your life and to what you want to accomplish in your life future-wise. Otherwise, you're just going to lead a life of mediocrity and have people hold you back and keep holding you back, regardless of whom that may be. You know, you have people that go through life just like imbeciles or like animals, even worse than animals. And before you know it, you're stuck. If you're a guy, you're stuck with a wife that you're not legally married to, or a girlfriend that's pregnant, you name it. Now, you need to be able to bring up the courage to make harsh decisions that you will end up benefiting from for the rest of your life or permanently, okay? But it's similar to knocking up a woman, getting a woman pregnant as a man. Just half an hour of pleasure, carnal pleasure, leaves you stuck with a woman that's pregnant, leaves you with a lifelong responsibility in the form of a child, and you don't want that, do you? That's what I'm talking about. Again, referring back to my example, if I were legally married even, and if I had children, a wife and children, and I had an entire life with them, and I came to the realization that all they do is hold me back, then I would file for divorce. Okay, my wife can go nuts. She can try to yell at me. She can go insane. She can tell her entire family or anyone else, girlfriends, you name it, all of her friends, acquaintances, that I've lost my mind. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is getting it done. Okay, and that's what you need to focus on, getting things done. Okay, see to it that you sever ties with her permanently. I would file for divorce as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I would also talk to my children and explain to them, whether they understand or not. I'm not going to repeat myself multiple times. I'm going to explain to my children, listen, sit down along with mom. I'm going to explain to you guys why I want to do this, okay? In short, this is why I want to do this, okay? And I mean this in the friendliest way possible, but as I'm disowning you guys. As far as I know, you guys aren't my children anymore. So we're done then. Oh, end of story. I go my own path, okay? But the problem with a lot of people out there, especially people that have loads of problems, is that they're allowing things like these to hold them back. Okay, they're stuck with baggage. They're just stuck with a bunch of burdens that they can't deal with. You either have a legitimate or illegitimate child that you're stuck taking care of or taking care for. Stuff like that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You can't have it both ways, okay? Because before you know it, for example, this is an example, okay? Having a children are an example, or a spouse is an example. You're stuck with taking care of children when you can barely even take care of yourself. How are you going to take care of a child when you work minimum wage, when you're struggling to make ends meet? It just keeps going on and on and on. You need to be able to make tough decisions, okay? Even if I were a woman and I had children, I would gladly give up that child for adoption if I had to. There's nothing wrong with being selfish and thinking only of yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I repeat, there's nothing wrong with thinking about yourself. Okay? You need to do what's in your best interest, okay? It doesn't only have to be in your best interest, but it needs to primarily be in your self and or best interest or well interest. Okay, you're living your life and leading your life for yourself, not for others. You exist, to put it that way, you exist metaphorically for yourself, not for others. So you need to sort your own things out first. But how are you going to help other people when you can't even help yourself? How are you going to hold up and support others when you can't even hold up and support yourself? That way, both of you are going to drown in the proverbial quicksand. That are the burdens in your life. So yeah, that is the point that I have tried to make in this video, and I think I've at the very least fairly succeeded in doing so. Again, I'm not preaching to anyone here, nor am I pretending to be a counselor, although one can regard me as such. I've done it plenty of times for people, customers and whatnot. But my point is that you need to be consistent in solving your problems, okay? Solving one's problems isn't easy. It's not easy ridding yourself of baggage, but it is. You need to do it for your own well-being, because your own well-being and life is on the line, okay? When it comes to that, you need to do so because no one else is going to do it for you. Almost no one else would ever be willing to do it for you, nor would anyone else be willing to help you out to such an extreme degree, okay? You can safely assume that in all, if not most cases, you're on your own. And therefore, you need to look out for yourself and your own interests and rid yourself by any means necessary of anything that holds you down or holds you back. And you'll see that in the near future, once you've done so, that you'll reap great rewards and great benefits. You'll benefit immensely from your decisions, and these benefits will be long-lasting. These benefits will be permanent. Again, I'm not being preachy or anything to anyone, okay? But what I said stands, period. I know most of you out there know that I'm right and agree with me, okay? And yet also a good deal of you lack the willpower, the consistent willpower, and the consistency in order to make these in order to make these long-term decisions or these permanent decisions, you can just see it as cutting off your own hand. In the extremest of circumstances, if there were little to no other choices left, I would cut off my own hand if I had to. And I would try to make it as swift and as painless as possible, but even if it hurts like hell, I would still do so. I mean, if my life depends on it, I would literally cut off my own hand. And I would go about it as effectively as possible. I'd wrap a tourniquet around my wrist and everything, okay? And go to the hospital as quickly as possible to see to it that I don't die from excessive blood loss. But again, that's just a metaphor, but you guys get the gist of it, okay? You understand what it is that I'm saying. Okay, you need to be able, if your life is fraught with problems, or if you find yourself dissatisfied with your life, make things happen for yourself by making harsh decisions, by making decisions that are either harsh or can be construed as harsh. You need to be and stand firm and strong if you want what's best for you. Again, I'm referring to my example. Even if I were a woman, if I had children, I would either give up my children for adoption, or if I were pregnant, I would either have the child aborted, or immediately after birth, I would give it up for adoption. It sounds harsh and it sounds almost unbearable, but I would do so. I'm not laughing, nor am I kidding. You need to be able to make these harsh decisions in order to advance in your life. How are you going to advance in your life when you're stuck with children and you have to pay rent for an apartment or house that you live and or stay in? And you constantly need to buy things for that child. You need to buy anything from its infancy stages. We're talking about diapers and anything else, all the other crap that a child uses and needs, to its teenage years, you name it. It's a lifelong expense, okay? A child is a lifelong responsibility and expense. And how do you expect to get ahead like that? How do you expect to get ahead when you're not actively looking for a better job that suits you and that suits your specialties, or if you're not improving your resume in order to get a better job? How will you expect to have a better life if you don't take any of those measures? You need to take these measures, okay, for your own well-being, assuming that your own well-being comes first, and assuming that you want the best for yourself permanently. I mean, it's it can be incredibly hard, okay, because old habits die hard, okay? People have grown so accustomed, a lot of people have grown so used to, they've grown so used to wallowing in their own filth, to put it like that, just living in their own pool of misery, that they've grown so used to it that they don't know better, or that they're just, that they don't nearly have the willpower and what it takes to actually undo themselves from that. But again, you have to see it as a life and death situation. You have to do what's best for you, and it all depends on how much you care about yourself. If you care enough about yourself in order to make this happen, then you'll make it happen. But if you don't, then yeah, don't expect to go anywhere. You'll just end up living out your life disappointed and filled with regrets and filled with those burdens that you couldn't get rid of. So that is it. Thanks for watching. Bye.